Okay, in this video lesson, what we're going to do is take a look at what needs to be done to modify the level class so that it understands mana potions. I mean, right now we've got mana potions class in place, we've got the pickup class in place, so that infrastructure is there. But we don't have any way of actually showing the mana potions inside of our level. So when we get to the end of this lesson, we're going to have mana potions in the level. Our character is going to be able to run around, pick them up. We will see his mana go up. Then he can fire. His mana will go down. The potion will respawn. We can pick it back up. And yada, yada, yada. Now, there's two problems we'll have at the very end of the lesson. And that's going to be what happens if a fireball hits a mana potion, and what happens when an enemy runs over a mana potion. And we're going to have to take care of those in the next lesson when we look at modifying their idle updates. Basically, how they're going to update when they encounter a mana potion. So anyways, we'll get to that. So the things that need to be done in this lesson, first of all, we're going to be adding a sprite mana potion to the enum so that, of course, level can identify a mana potion. The big thing, the heart of this whole lesson here, is adding a second list. If you guys remember, we are maintaining a list right now of evil monkeys. So this list contains all of our enemies, and we can walk through that list and find out what all the enemies are doing if need be. Well, we're going to create another list, and this is a game items list. So basically, every item that you guys create and populate your level with will exist inside this list. Now, of course, with this bonus content here, it's a very simple example. All we're going to do is just add the mana potions, and that's going to be the only thing that will be in the list. But the idea of this list is to contain mana potions, health potions, keys, etc. So it's just one list containing all items in the level. Okay, so a couple more things we're going to need to do to our level class. We're going to need to add an add pickup function, okay, so that we can add a pickup item into the level. We're also going to need to add an add game item as well. So a couple of things we're going to need to do, and let's just get busy. Well, also, hang on, before we get busy, one more thing. Finally, at the very end, we're going to need to update app game to handle adding mana potions because, of course, the level is going to be able to handle them. But if you don't, say, add mana, then, well, you're just not going to see any potions. So anyways, we'll get this all into place. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and modify my header file for level. So we'll jump back over here into Evil Monkeys, picking up where we left off from the last lesson where we implemented both the pickup class and the mana potion class. Let's go ahead and find level.h. So come down here to headers, level.h. And inside here, what I want to do is in our enums, basically we have our sprites in here at the moment. So we've got 3 of them. Well, we're now going to need to worry about a 4th. So let's go ahead and add it. Now, I'm going to start talking a little bit less because there's a lot of typing to do here. Now, I know I keep saying that over and over and over, and I don't successfully achieve that. I'm going to try to pull that off here because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff, and I think you guys are going to understand everything I'm doing. Okay, the next thing I want to do is come down here into the public area, and let's add a couple more functions. So somewhere right after add NPC. Well, actually, you know what? Probably even a better idea than that would be to go ahead and jump all the way down into our public. So we've got a list of our NPCs for basically our enemies. Let's make one more list. And we'll call this game items. That makes sense. So now that with that in place, it'll make a little bit more sense when I go in there and I start adding in the different functions. So let's come down here. So right after, again in the public section, right after the add NPC, let's go ahead and create void add pickup int num. So how many pickups do we want to add? So if we're adding mana potions, we'll say add pickup 3, and then we're going to need to tell it what type of pickup are we sending it, just in case later on we decide to expand this so that it does support keys, etc. Alright, so the next thing I want to do, void add game item, and sprite. That's all we're going to be doing is passing a sprite. A sprite pointer, that is. So what is this for? Basically, it's just going to add our item onto the list. That's it. And then as far as removing items from the list, the only time we really need to wipe the list out in this simple example is when a level is deleted and a new level is created. And so basically we will implement that inside the destructor. So with that in place, that's basically everything that we need from our header file. So let's go ahead and cruise on over to I say, yeah, let's go to level CPP. Losing my mind. It's getting awfully late, as usual. Okay, so what I'm going to do in here is we'll need to include all of the items that we can add into a level. Not just pickup, but the actual items. So in this case, there's only one. So we're going to include mana, potion.h. Okay, so now the level will understand what a mana item is. Okay, the next thing I want to do is let's go ahead and jump on down here to the destructor. We'll just get this out of the way right off the bat. You guys already know how to deal with lists, and right here we're walking through all of our enemies and deleting our enemies out in case the level, you just close out the level or whatever. So I'm going to make sure that since I know we're going to be creating game items, that the same thing is going to happen. I want to come in here and say, basically walk through all of the game items. So using the game items that we created a minute ago. There we go. So now we're walking through the list, deleting everything else. So this is really handy because basically when you complete a level and you go to advance to the next level, the one level needs to be created, or excuse me, destroyed before creating a new level. And so that's what's going to happen here. It'll automatically take care of wiping out all of the game items that you've added into that one level, and then we move into the next one. So very cool stuff. Okay, let's see. The next thing we're going to take a look at doing is going to be over in the level update. All right, let's see. I've got some notes here because we've got so many different things going on just to help me kind of keep track of what's going on. So in level update, if you guys remember, basically this is just a matter of basically walking through here. We're just walking through our enemies. We're setting their current time, and then we're updating the sprite. And basically, if it's time to update the sprite, excuse me, then we tell that particular sprite to run its idle update. And we're going to need to do the exact same thing here for our game list. All of those items, basically, those pickups are going to need to update as well when their time comes. So I can just come over here and I'll grab some of this and just modify it as need be. And I'm not going to need to do any of this alive stuff, so I can just basically stop it right there. Come down here right after the 1-4 is done. Just jump down, and I didn't want you to go there. I really want you to come out over here like this. And we'll just come up here, and again, let's just change our enemies over to game items. So game items.begin all the way through game items.end. Let's go ahead and put the S in there so we don't run into any errors. Okay, next thing we're going to do is set the current time for that thing, and then update it. And then, of course, well, if it needs to be updated, we'll call idle update. And that's pretty much it there. So very simple. All we're doing is telling our pickup items, mana potion to be specific here, that look, here's its current time, doesn't need to be updated. If so, let it run its own idle update. Okay, so moving on from there, let's see, what do I have us doing next? Okay, this is where we're going to start getting into some big stuff. Okay, I'm going to see if I can steal as much code as possible. Now I'm getting to jump all the way down to the bottom, but before I do so, I just passed something that caught my interest. We have an add enemies here, and with add enemies, that's what we're doing. We're adding enemies into the level. Well, we're about to do add pickups, so we'll be adding pickups into a level, and a lot of the code is very much the same. So I'm just going to come in here and see what of this I can actually steal. Let me see, looking down here at my notes, how much of it do we have we can steal? Well, a few things anyways. So maybe go all the way down to right about there. Yeah. Now let's go all the way to the bottom and let's implement the new functionality that we described over in the header file. So starting out with void level, and this is going to be add pickup, and it's going to take in int num, and it's also going to take in another integer, the pickup type. And hey, you don't go there, you go there. Okay, so for inside here, same thing as before, I equals num. We'll walk through this in a second. If num equals 0, well, basically remember we send in a 0 if it is a level that we've loaded from a file that a level designer created. So we just send in 0, like such. So working our way on down, let's go ahead and at this point we're just going to set up the loop to walk through our level. And I'm going to check for, if you remember, 3 was an evil monkey that the level designer had placed in there. I'm going to change this to a 4 because this is check to see if it was a mana potion. Okay, so if it's 4, it is indeed a mana potion. So let's go ahead and just close that off. And if it is a mana potion, what are we going to do? Well, mana potion, and of course, same type thing. Temp, so basically we'll be stored in temp equals, and we will create a new mana potion. and this, and draw area. So this level, the draw area, and now we can say sprite mana potion, and then let's go ahead and typecast our x and y. So float x and float y, like such. Okay, so now that we've got temp with a new mana potion in it, what we need to do is basically register the player. So temp needs to add the player, and of course in the level, excuse me, we have player. So we'll just pass that on over. And now we need to go ahead and set its position. So set position of where we are at currently as we're looping through, so x and y. Space that out a little bit, this looks a little nicer. And then finally add game item, which we will add this function in just a minute. But again, it's going to be a very simple one. It's just taking the sprite and adding it onto the list. So the sprite pointer, temp, because we can need to typecast it because at the moment it's a mana potion, like such. And so we close off that if. Let's go ahead and close off a few 4s here. So we'll close off that one, and we'll close off that one. And then let's see, that takes us all the way down to, okay, basically after we get finished looping through every single thing, what we need to do is go ahead and return, like such. Then we can go ahead and close off our if. And if we haven't returned, then basically while I is greater than 0, let's go ahead and come in here and populate some of these guys in ourselves. Now, we've already gone over this formula once before. That's going to allow us to randomly generate mana potions in the game. Remember, all of this part of code right here is we've already created mana potions in the level editor and saved it out. And then we just simply walked through the level that was created by the designer, and we checked each cell, if you will. And if the cell had a number 4, we simply put a mana potion there. And we registered the mana potion to that position. Simple enough. But now this is if you decided to say file new game and go through and the system needs to automatically generate some mana for you. So how are we going to handle this? Well, int xpos equals int, and we've done this before. Same exact thing. Float rand, and let's do modulus 100 and divide it by 100. Times, and then we got to take into account the two I'm going to say pixels in a sense, but they, they get multiplied through, but the 2 units on the side and the 2 units at the top. So we'll say width minus 2, take care of the width, plus 1. Okay, that's good. And then exact same thing again. So we'll just copy this, and we'll do this for the y position and for the height. So y position and height. And just kind of neaten it up a little bit there. Okay, so this is just going to randomly allow us to poke. That's why while I is greater than 0, we're just going to come through here and we're going to poke, poke, and poke until we find a place that we can put mana potions. And here's where we get into that scenario. So basically I can simply say if the level xpos and ypos, like such, is not equal to, you guys probably guessed it, a tile wall. So in other words, we can't put a mana potion in the wall. That really wouldn't cut it. Then what we need to do is do a switch. And this here I did not have to implement, but I'm just kind of trying to show you how you can get some basic structure into place so that later on if you decide to add more items to the pickup system, you've already got a switch here for handling what kind of item it is. So here is, we're going to just switch off of a pickup type. So the pickup type that comes in, and let's go ahead and close all this off, and case 0, we're going to say that 0 is going to be our mana potion, and we'll set that a little bit later on. You guys will see where. So let's go ahead and just put that in there, and I'm just going to neaten this up a little bit for me. Okay, so if this happens to be the case, what exactly are we going to do? Well, let's cheat a little bit. We're going to come up here, we're going to create mana potion, we're going to add the player, we're going to set its position, and we're going to add it to game items. So let's copy all of this. Let's come down here, and let's paste it. Okay, so mana potion, do temp, this, draw area, sprite, mana potion. So that's all good, of course. And then except for, this almost got me. This needs to be xpos and ypos, like such. Okay, and then we'll simply add the player, and then X POS again for setting its position, and Y POS. Of course, again, determined by our random numbers that we generated back up in here. Okay. And then finally, let's see, let's come down here. After we make it through the switch, we'll just simply decrement I. Okay. So, you know, we're going to come into the whole thing. Let's say we say make 3 manas. So when we send add pickup, we're going to send it 3. We're going to send it anything other than 0, right? Because if it's a 0, that means, again, we're dealing with a file that we've loaded, and we already know how many mana potions need to be put inside the level. But if otherwise, it's going to be a random thing. We're going to say we want to make 3. Okay, so we come down here, and while I is greater than 0, so while 3 is greater than 0, so of course it is, we need to get 3 of these guys in, and that's why we've got this in a while loop, is because we continue to just poke at locations within the level. Then we make sure that there's not a tile wall there. In other words, there's no wall there. And if there's not a wall, whatever pickup type it is, that's going to be the one that we're going to create, and we'll simply say we made that 1, so now 3 becomes a 2. Let's take a look at making the next one. And it continues doing that until we've placed all 3 items in the level, leaving I at 0. And once 0 is greater than 0, nope, doesn't happen. We're going to jump out of the while. Pretty simple. Of course, one of the things we can do over here after adding the game item is we can simply break out. Because we are, of course, in a switch, and we don't want to fall through to anybody else. Okay, so good. And I think we're down to about 1 thing left over. Then we can start hunting for any issues inside of our code. So let's go ahead and add void level add game item, and add game item takes in a sprite pointer. And let's go ahead and set this up. And boy, this one's going to be tough. Oh, hang on. I didn't realize I was so far over. All right, again, this one's going to be so tough. Here we go. Game items dot push back and the sprite that we send in. There we go. So all that's doing is just adding our mana potion or whatever item it is onto the stack. So let's go ahead, and this is probably not going to look pretty, I'm sure. I'm just kind of scanning through right now just to see if I happen to have any... see, I just had a funny feeling. I was missing that guy. Any other syntax errors floating about? On hunting. Okay, so let's just go ahead and compile and let this thing scream. Surely I didn't. Oh, wow, I actually typed everything right first time through. That is amazing. Okay, so that really takes care of the updates that we need to do to the level.cpp file, but now we're going to need to drop into AppFrame for just a minute and make some changes so that we can get some mana into the game. So let's go ahead and come over to, I don't know, let's start with appframe.h. And if you guys remember, it's in AppFrame where we say add enemies, and right now we know an enemy is an enemy is an enemy, period. But if we say add a pickup item, we don't know what kind of pickup item it is. So we've got several enums in here. Perhaps we could just go ahead and create one more enum if we wanted to. And this could be pickup items. And of course, again, there's a million ways that you can do this. You don't have to necessarily do it with this approach. But mana potion equals, 0. This way, I can just come in here and, let's get that out of there. I can just come in here and put mana potion, and it knows it's a 0, as we already know. Okay, so now we've got that in place. That's, I think, everything I need to change inside my header file. There's just a few little things that I need to do over in the AppFrame CPP file. So let's go ahead and head that way. So appframe.cpp. First thing I need to do is go ahead and create the sprite. So draw area. So here we are in the constructor, cruising down, hunting. Aha, here's where we're creating sprites. Let's go ahead and just copy this and add a 4th line. And this one's not going to be sprite fireball. This one is going to be, sprite mana potion. Like such. Okay, so mana potion's done, and of course we better come over here. And what is the bitmap? It's going to be potion. Okay, excuse me one second. Okay, so now that we've got our sprite set up, now what we need to do is on new. We need to go ahead and add some pickup items, some mana potions into the level. So let's go ahead and hunt for on new. And what I'm looking for is where we add the enemy. Let's come right around and let's add pickup. And for now, we're just going to say on new, we're just always going to add 3. You guys know how to go in and come up with your own code to change this now. So, and what do we want to put? Mana potion, like such. Okay, so that's good. So anytime you say file new now, it's going to create 3 enemies, and it's also going to create 3 mana potions. All right, next thing we need to do is going to be, let's see, when you load a game, that's another important one. So on load, no, we need load game. Hunting. Yeah, about got choked a second ago. Okay, load game. So looking for where we are adding in our enemies, and I'm staring right at it. I know I am. Current set right there. So what I'm going to do is just copy this, paste it, and so again we're going to add our pickups, except we're going to add this time around. Remember, we're going to do 0. The 0 is important because we've loaded the file, so it's going to be up to the level designer where the mana potions are going to be. And let's go ahead and say mana potion. So we know that we're adding the pickup mana potions into the level. All right, almost done. What I need to do now is on update game, so that basically when we get into new levels and all and good stuff like that. So let's go ahead and jump on down. Make sure there's no errors there. That looks good. So update game, here we go. And just coming down looking for where we are adding enemies. So here we're adding enemies, and anytime you see where we're adding enemies 0, that's because of course we're dealing with a file that has been loaded, as I've said a billion times now. So let's go ahead and say add pickup, and we're going to add 0, comma, and you guys guessed it, this is a mana potion, like such. Okay, and let's see, finally there's going to be one more in here where we're going to specify a number right here. So this is where we've been controlling our guys getting faster and faster and faster and adding more and more monsters with all this good stuff. We're just going to keep it simple. You guys know how to do that, so you can adjust it however you want. I'm just going to say continue to add only 3 mana potions, and again, mana potion, like such. And let me think. I do believe that is pretty much everything. Let's just see how well this compiles. Okay, so we have definitely run into a series of errors, and let's find out what exactly I have managed to leave off. Just browsing quickly. So hunting back up. Let's see. Let's come back over here to the header file real quick. After our enum, we definitely need to terminate that. Let's go ahead and compile one more time. See if we can knock the number of errors down. I would say they've been knocked down considerably. Okay, so we've now compiled. Let's go ahead and see if we can run it, and if we see any potions in the level. So Control F5, File, New, and hey, I see mana potions. Let me pick one up and back away, and let's see if it respawns in about 5 seconds, which should be about any second. Up, it respawned. Hey, check that out, guys. So let's go grab that guy. Of course, my mana is going up by 6 points each time. And so we're waiting for more response. There we go. Nice. Of course, at the moment, we really aren't dealing with what happens when they run on it. So he just ran on it. Notice it vanished. So we're going to have to come back into our code now and start dealing with what happens when a monkey runs over mana, and what happens when the mana gets shot like that. So because you'll notice it doesn't respawn, and the other guy hasn't respawned either. So basically all of our manas have now been taken out thanks to rather fireballs or evil monkeys. Let's go ahead and kill that. So we've started a new level, and let's see. Let me check one thing though. Make sure we don't have a. Oh, that was bad luck of the draw. Let's. Ooh, look where those good 3 guys got put. Let's go ahead and make sure that I think I might have one more place that I want to add something before I X out of this. What happens when we advance to the next level? Come on, you can come. Whoa! Oh, look at that guy. All being all smart on me. Come down. Let's steal that. And you can come anytime now. Yes, it's okay. We do like you. Alright, so, there was no mana potions there. Tons of monkeys, no mana potions. So what is it that we are missing out on? There's one important thing. Let's see. 1 second. Let me come back over to the appframe.cpp and a quick hunt. Onload, no. And Okay, wait a minute. Hang on. So basically what's going on down here in update game, when we start a new level, that's when he's missing. So let's see. Yeah, that's a really funny mistake. That's what I get for just yakking and not paying attention to what I'm typing. And that's also what I get for copying and pasting. So basically add enemies. Well, the next one needs to be what? Add pickup. So let's change that real quick. Like such. Okay, so now that we have set that up properly, that was just a little mistake I made there. Let's go ahead and recompile, make sure everything's good, jump back into the game, and make sure we can advance now with mana potions randomly showing up. So, looking good. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. This guy, of course, they should respawn, and this guy, so that should be 3 respawns. So watching for respawns. There's 1. There's 2. And, he may have gotten hit. Let's go ahead and... Alright, time to kill. So here we go. Death, death, and more death. So look at that. We've got more mana over here, and that's exactly what I was hoping to achieve. And they are respawning, which is cool as well. So at this point, that's pretty much going to wrap up this lesson right here. And we just need to basically make it so that manas work properly with monsters running over them as well. Whoa, okay, that's just bad. Where mana works properly with monsters running over them and with fireballs striking them. And then we'll be done with everything. So we'll take a look at that in the next lesson. So that's it. Thanks a lot, everyone.